let's say you're taking your dog Sparky out for a walk, and unfortunately Sparky runs away. So now what you need to do is find Sparky again. Well, how are you going to do that? Let's say that your neighborhood here has a road around it in a circle, and you know that there's a road that goes through the middle of it, Cactus Avenue here, and this road is going to be a diameter. So you really need to find your dog, so you ask your neighbors to help, and they say, great, well, what's the search area? How big of an area are we looking in here? Now, you know that the diameter here, Cactus Avenue, is 200 meters. So you now want to know, okay, well, how far would it be if my neighbor starts walking all the way around this neighborhood to find the dog? Well, remember that the circumference is the distance around a circle. And the distance around the circle is always about 3.14 times the circle's diameter. So just remember that 3.14 is an approximation for pi, which is 3.14159, etc., etc., etc. And you can remember the formula for circumference with cherry pie delight. C equals pi times d. So circumference of a circle is about 3.14 times the diameter, or more technically, pi times the diameter. All right, we also know the diameter is just 2 times the radius, or you could also say that the radius is half of the diameter. So the circumference of the circle can also be written as pi times 2 times r instead of pi times the diameter. So our circumference of a circle is 3.14 times 2 times r. Well, here's our neighborhood again. Now, we could use that formula if we knew that Sparky was somewhere along this outside road, but we don't know that. Sparky could be anywhere on the inside of the circle, so what we really need to figure out is the area of this circle, the area of your neighborhood here. Well, what's the area? It's just the space inside any closed shape. Now, all closed shapes have an area, even sort of weird shapes like this arrow here. And for a lot of them, we have formulas. A triangle is 1/2 base times height. A rectangle is length times width, and then we can even put together shapes to find areas of stranger shapes here. For example, this arrow could be the area of this rectangle plus the area of that triangle. Well, let's try a little bit of the same approximation with a circle now. Let's remember that the radius is half of the diameter, and it goes from the center of the circle to any point on the outside. So these are both a radius, this distance here and this distance here. They're exactly the same. Now, if we made a square, the square would have the area r squared because it's r times r. Now, what if we put 4 squares here to kind of cover this entire circle and then some? Well, the area of that whole square would be r squared plus r squared plus r squared plus r squared, or 4r squared. Now, would you expect the area of the circle to be more or less than 4r squared? Well, it has to be less, right? It has to be less because there are these extra little white spaces here that we've labeled A, B, C, and D. So if we're just using these letters, we would say that the area of the circle is 4r squared minus A and B and C and D. Now, it turns out that the area of the circle is about 3.14 times r squared. That makes sense, right? It's less than 4r squared. So, welcome back, pi. Here comes that big long decimal again. And the formula you need to know is that the area of a circle is pi r squared. All right, so that's going to be our search area here. Now, we knew that Cactus Avenue was a diameter, and that was 200 meters, but we also have Canyon Street that goes from the center to the outside, and that's 100 meters, which is going to be a radius. So let's plug it into our formula here. Pi r squared becomes pi times 100 meters squared, which becomes pi times 10,000 square meters. Now, sometimes that might be good for an answer. You could just say pi times 10,000 meters squared, or you might have to approximate using 3.14, and if we do that, we're going to get a total search area of 31,400 square meters. All right, now if you have any circle, you can use this formula. Here's one with a diameter of 6 inches, and we're just going to remember that we can relate radius and diameter to area. If the diameter is 6 inches, well, the radius is half of that, which is 3 inches. And that we can plug into our area formula here. We had pi r squared, so we put in pi times 3 squared. Well, that's just going to be 9 pi square inches. And if we wanted to approximate using 3.14, we could do that as well, and we would get that the total area of this circle is about 28.27 square inches. So just remember that the area of a circle is pi r squared.